All right, so let's start this one again. Teams that press would be scary to play against, but a good first touch and already knowing the pass you want to make really helps. Yep, great stuff. Scanning before the player gets it, right? Yes, just like we talked about. But at training, working on shape and patterns of play are important to build instinctive decisions. Yep, 100%. I think you got to play in those formations, even if there's no defense in practice, so that players are getting kind of the reps at doing those game-like scenarios and movements. And I would even argue that if you can just get those, kind of different scenarios in their head, there's only really so many things you need to practice before you can start playing that style. Practicing that first touch, being able to, get balanced and get that next touch very quickly after the first touch. Something I see a lot that kids, don't necessarily do, and what you see in the pros really do. Get to that second touch quickly, whether that is going to be a pass or a dribble or just a trap. You don't want to wait too long for that second touch. And then it's being able to ideally get rid of the ball or break the defense with that second or third touch. Because after that, windows start to close and your options will likely be going backwards, which is okay. And you want to have the patience to be able to do that. But then, yes, the team, again, has to work, to, I would say, regather into those new spaces. And all of this, takes, running. So anyway, let's keep going. Practicing, those patterns of play to build instinctive decisions. Exactly. Practicing those things so when it comes to game time, they've already done those reps before. It'll be familiar to them. When teams press, if you play around it, let's see where over here. Yes, when teams press, if you play around it quickly, you can get out and get overloads at the attacking end of the pitch, 100%. Because you have them pressed high, and so their team is further up the field. So you break those lines of defense. Now all of a sudden you have numbers better and more people attacking than they have defending, right? And that's always your greatest opportunity to score. And so I always think when that happens, that's when you go for it. And I think that's what like the good teams in Barcelona and stuff used to do. They'd play that tiki-taka style, but as soon as they would break that line, man, they would have guys bombing, whether it's into the box or making runs up the line. So, yeah, and so it's all about just kind of breaking that line, getting that guy that has some space to either make a long ball or make a run or dribble or pull the defense towards them in some way. And that's what's going to create the chances. I feel that having good starting positions with distance really helps. Absolutely. So keeping the space, moving as a team with the ball and where it's going, and being reactive always, everyone on the pitch, to move quickly, to be ready, not only for the first pass, but the second or third pass. Because if you're not moving already with that first pass, you might not be there in time for the second or third pass. Players need to learn to play in pockets of space away from players. Then if the defender comes and marks, move to another space. Man, perfectly said. So simple. Man, that's the kind of stuff you guys really just need to remember, right? No matter where, you are, if somebody comes close to you, you want to get into space, right? Away from defenders. There's generally going to be 2, 3, 4 defenders around you. So you want to find that pocket where you're not next to anybody, but you're still kind of in your position. but it's fluid, right? Because depending on what you do or somebody else does is going to affect what you do or what they do. But again, really simple. If someone comes into your space like a defender, I would even argue one of your own teammates, just go into another space. And it's that movement, actually, of constant movement that keeps you where it pulls the defense, it unlocks them, it confuses them. And also, even though you're jogging, maybe like more frequently, it's going to actually keep you from having to sprint, right? Yeah, it's weird. It's like, even though it takes more probably energy, it's not as much as you think. It's actually quite efficient, especially for the amount of confusion that it causes in the defense and potential advantages for the offense. All right. So yeah, pass or go into the space, pockets of space, and keep moving. And as he first stated, off the ball is vital. If no one moves, then you'll find yourself going backwards. So moving off the ball into space to receive needs to happen constantly. It takes hard work. Then you need composure to match, to then receive and play out. Depending on your position, you're looking to make runs and break lines of the opposition's defense. That essentially is the most important part. Yeah. So yeah, all of this is about, getting behind that last line of defense if possible. But again, you're kind of just breaking down really each line of defense, which is going to be 3 or 4 layers deep, depending on what kind of formation the other team is playing. And yeah, so yeah, the composure to receive the ball, right? So again, you might be sprinting full speed to get into space for your teammate, but as you're running, you need to be picking up what's going on around you. Where's the defense? Where's your team, right? Because like he says, you need to keep the composure when you do receive the ball. So when you find that pocket of space, what it really enables that composure is knowing what's going on around you, right? So you just chill, right? You just, if you have a teammate running that's going by somebody and can get a first time pass, great. That's not going to be too frequent. But so when you receive the ball, again, it's going to be challenging really no matter what, and so just relax and, do your best to try to receive that ball softly and in a way that is keeping in mind where the defense is around you, which you figured out by being aware of your space around you as you were coming to receive the ball, right? So then as you receive it, you know exactly where you need to go, right? And it might be directly behind where you just came from, right? Maybe the 2 defenders are to your left and right, and they can come at you real quick. And actually the most advantageous, quickest spot into space might be, boom, just a drag back, and you do a 180 and you split those 2 defenders. Right, so that's where that awareness, and if you're also aware if someone's following you, you see that nobody is, you know that space is open, right? You don't need to look again when the moment comes for you to make your touch. You already know. Boom. Then after that, having again the composure and awareness to be able to make the right next play, right? So again, usually after that first touch, even if it's one of those sexy, poop, drop it between the guys' turns, almost 1, maybe 2 touches, yep, bam, then you're making that next pass, to the next person. And so the timing of it, it matters, and all of that depends on what play that you had to do before and what's available to you in terms of people making runs. But, as soon as we get that one pass where we have somebody in an advantageous position, like if we go to the center midfield and that person is able to turn on somebody, boom, that's the moment we know, here you go, it's on. And that's where everybody's got to be ready to run and get into the right spaces to create that goal scoring opportunity, right? Before that, we're running to get into space, to be available for each other. And it might be an over the top or a through ball, kind of run down the line. We're always looking for those but only when the person who's passing can actually make that pass. So until then, we're hustling to be able to get into space, to move to those next levels, right? Like where center mids are trying to doing to get the ball. And then, boom, as soon as we are able to break through and that person can turn and look up the field with space in front of them, that's when we make our move. So those people up front, especially, they're running into those spaces. They're reading where the defenders are, and reading where their teammates are, seeing what they're doing, all working together to know, so we're not feeling the same places. And somebody is going to be available as soon as your teammate with the ball needs them to be available, right? Because when they make that turn and they're looking up the field, they might have space, but it's not going to be more than probably 2, maybe 3 touches before somebody's going to be on them. They may not even have that much time. So we have to read, people off the ball have to understand where the next defender is, really all those defenses. You should be able to see and pick up everybody there, right? Everybody's playing the same positions, they'll probably have 4 or 3 in the back and you'll have 2 or 3 up front. So you just know where those guys are. And as you see somebody, a defender coming, boom, and you have potential to be 1 pass away. He's got the angle to you. You got to be able to find that pocket of space to be able to get open for them. But yeah, so it's all based off of, that awareness of what's going on in the field. And like my man is saying, catch the ball with composure. But you got to work to get into those spaces, to give yourself those opportunities in the first place. All right, we're going to stop this here and I'll make a next video for the next one. Sorry I chopped these up, but I also kind of have to, I guess, to not have to go through putting my phone number on this Google account. It has to be, I think, under 15 minutes if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, just learned that today. So on to the next one, since we're at about 12 and a half minutes here.